Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Great Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, December 19th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are Empress in its reversal in combination with our 9 of Wands in its upright. Okay, so let's talk about it. You know, one of the things that we have to address right now, and I'm going to be saying this over and over and over and over and over again between now and February. Mars is in retrograde. Everybody's in their feels. I feel like everybody is in their feels about it. Everybody is feeling hypersensitive. And I got to stress this as well. The combination of Gemini full moon hangover combined with the Sagittarius energy, it can be somewhat volatile, right? It can create a lot of that feeling of frustration. Sagittarius energy can be great when it comes to new ideas, fresh starts, like being very fast, being very quick. As can Gemini is very creative, thinking about new possibilities, thinking about things in ways that are outside the box. This type of energy can be expansive, innovative. It can allow for some tremendous breakthroughs occur, which is why I want you to be really intentional about what you're doing with your time, effort, and energy right now, because this type of energy is beautiful when it comes to it's like new project energy. It's beautiful. It can be so amazing as it relates to creativity, but if you allow it to be in unhealthy places, it can feel triggering. It can feel hypersensitive. It can feel energetically oppositional, right? So like, it's like the major message on it is pick your battles. Pick your battles to a certain extent, because this could be the opportunity, like this could be the energy that you could just like kickstart something right now. Like you could just begin something new, right? But if it's not utilized in a productive way, it can feel more like that sense of frustration and restlessness that often moves us counter-oppositional to the directionality that we want to head into, right? And we want to be conscientious of that. Gemini energy, when it's in its positive space, is very dynamic. It's very rapid. What do we see with Gemini energy that's often when it's in its detriment? It can be indecisive. It can be fickle, right? It doesn't feel energetically stable. Similar to Sagittarius energy, right? Sagittarius can be really confident, can be really like unabashed. But again, Sagittarius in its unhealthy state can be, it can be very volatile. It can be like speaking first, thinking later. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that work. So being able to be intentional right now and allowing that intentionality to guide you is going to be very significant and important. Now, we see, and this is what I'm also conscientious of right now, the sensitivity is occurring right now for masculine and feminine energy. And the ability to take something personally right now is like, because of that hypersensitivity, it's like Princess and the Pea kind of thing, like something that wouldn't typically bother you. I got to tell you, it almost feels similar to the energy that we often experience during eclipse cycles, right? Because that feeling of like something small, right? That little thing that boom, like leaves for like that point being like, oh, I just can't anymore. Like it's a little bit of that, right? Now, but it is serving a purpose. For feminine energy right now, this is coming through more in the state of not getting down on one's own self, right? And because again, if this is feminine energy, look at this. Look what we're seeing here. Feminine energy is learning that maintaining standards feels like rejection. This is literally what we're seeing. It's exactly what we were talking about. Maintaining energetic standards feels like rejection. But this is a lot of the feminine energy that is reaffirming that to the self. That sense of when we experience that, when we understand our own value and our own worth, another person's assessment of our standards does not impact us. We see that a lot of the feminine energy right now is healing, right? In that experience of saying, when others devalue me, it's because they're trying to get me to devalue myself, right? And so when the feminine energy recognizes that, that isn't the feminine energy that says, oh, I have to let go of my standards because I'm being devalued for them. This is a feminine energy that says, yes, someone that's asking you to lower your standards is going to make you feel like you're holding yourself to too high a standard. And this is a lot of the feminine energy that's healing in this way, deep within divine union, in the context of the masculine that's also doing a lot of this work. Because what do we see that the masculine is doing right now? This is a lot of the masculine energy that is working through the emotionality of the self, right? This is the masculine energy that's experiencing that to a certain degree as well. Because this is a lot of the masculine energy that is working on that state or space of navigating the feeling of not putting their own valuation point in feeling that sense or space of disappointing those around them, right? What is the feminine in the space of healing saying to masculine? Your intrinsic value is not existent in what you do for others. Your intrinsic value is based upon and built upon who you are. So we see even now that a lot of this energy is healing in very profound, beautiful ways right now. And a lot of it, though, is potentially navigating the sensitivity of others, or potentially those that may not necessarily be experiencing or as grounded right now in this frequency, that may be projecting some of that feeling of discomfort out onto those around them. Now, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is potentially, and I need to stress this right now, if you're feeling overprotective in relationality to energetic union, I feel like this is a lot of the valuation point and the energy holding something sacred that wasn't there before, right? This is the energy that is working through those changes, working through that anxiety. Like, we have to talk about this. Love is vulnerable. Love makes us feel profoundly vulnerable, right? When we're navigating that space of love, we constantly are in that space of anxiety in relationality to matching or making it towards what it is we aspire it to be, right? And so what we see that is happening right now for a lot of the energy coming into divine union is that I see even now some of that energy becoming hypersensitive about something that they would have, wouldn't have even recognized something before. Like, would have just like completely wasn't even like on their radar. Why do we see that that's occurring to a certain extent? Because this is the energy that when we prioritize different things, we change in profound ways. And so I see even now there's a lot of that energy that is identifying and recognizing those changes within. And some of it, like, I want to say some of it feels startling, because these are the energies that I feel like emotions within them are awakening, because they're finding the space in partnership to not just be their authentic self, but they're also discovering themselves there. While for a lot of this energy right now that's in separation, I just keep seeing doors opening, chapters closing. Doors opening, chapters closing. Why do we see that this is happening right now? Because if this is energy, look at this. Masculine and feminine energy. Look at these individuals in separation right now. You can see those walls up, right? They're doing that work. They're navigating their own discomfort. Are these the energies that are allowing that discomfort to move them in directions oppositional to the one that they desire to go into? No. They're articulating through it. They're speaking to one another to it. So for feminine, this is a lot of the feminine healing from the past that made them feel like they were not the priority, that they were that space or place of not being appreciated. And what is the masculine, the healing masculine, saying to the feminine? Sounds like someone that did not want you to have boundaries. Sounds like someone that did not want you to maintain your energetic standards, right? This is a lot of the masculine. These are the energies that are finding one another in this healing journey, right? And it doesn't require them to be perfect. It requires them to be open and honest about what they experienced. And we see even now there's a lot of that energy that is healing the hurt by articulating upon it, right? And that's not the energy that holds on to something, right? This isn't the energy that says I'm holding on to it because I refuse to let go of it. This is the energy that says I'm healing from it. I'm wounded by it. I'm trying to move forward and I'm actively healing in the process, right? Center card for today's spread is, we've got here our Magician card in its upright. So this, right? And I can see the energy in separation saying to one another, I'm trying, right? But what's beautiful when the energy says to one another, I'm trying. Trying is a qualifier on actively doing. So if this is the energy that is encountering one another in separation and saying, I'm trying to heal from that experience that hurt me. I'm trying to push out of my comfort zone after I feel like my comfort was violated. This is the energy that says, you're not trying, you're doing it. And if you're hard on yourself in the process of doing it, it's because you're putting a qualifier on how well you are doing it. So even here we see that in that articulation of trying, that they're basically able to say to one another, you're actively doing it. You are literally doing it. You have to have more confidence in yourself. Because even in that space of putting a qualifier on it, it shows how much they care about doing that work. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, for a lot of this energy right now that's coming into divine union, we're just identifying and recognizing to a certain extent that these are the energies that are giving each other that same level or amount of grace. Why do we see that there's so much that's valuable and important here about that work? Because these are the energies coming into divine union that are finding new parts of the self in the process, right? These are the energies that are coming into divine union that look outside of the partnership. And this is the energy saying, I didn't expect it to feel like this. I didn't expect it to be this way, right? This is the energy that understands that when we move into divine union, we find ourselves there. We find that new version of self there, right? But is this the energy that feels like they're moving further away from their true self in the process of coming into divine union? No. These are the energies that look towards one another and say, I see who I desire to be with you. That what we hold, and this is what's beautiful about that energy. This is the energy that says, we are not perfect, right? This is the energy that looks to each other and says, we still carry those hurts from the past with us. But what if we were energetically perfect because of that word try? Maybe that is the energy that says it is the ability to try. The intentionality that when we say the word try, what we're basically saying is this is what we hold our aspiration towards. And so this brings us to a lot of the energy deep within divine union, because this is a lot of the energy that's healing deep within divine union. And if this is the energy that's hard on themselves and constantly saying, I feel like I'm always failing my own expectations of the self, I feel like I'm never there. This is the energy that says, baby, that's the nature of it. That's what the higher self is. The higher self is always a little bit higher. It's in trying to reach towards it that we become blessed. So we see even now that there's a lot of that health and healing that's coming through right now, but it's coming through in that space of being gentle with oneself along that journey. Now, fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our Knight of Swords in its upright in combination with our Judgment card, right? This is the hypersensitivity that we're talking about right now, right? Because again, if you're not mindful to it, and this is why we want to navigate it with a little bit of compassion, if you're not as tuned in, if you're not as much being like, that's just everybody's real keyed up right now. If you understand why everybody's keyed up, it's a little bit easier. But like, okay, yeah, we got Gemini full moon with Sagittarius. Everybody's like, like that. Like it's like live wire, And so for those, for anybody, like this is the energy that if they're navigating someone that's experiencing it and just like projecting outwards with it more, I can see a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union being like, They you know, like they're projecting it outward instead of doing that work inward, right? Like that's what occurs. Like we can be more, you know, titchy and stuff like that when we're not, like when we're in that space of not necessarily energetically absorbing, right? And so, you know, even here, and this is what I got to tell you right now with some of this energy, and this is why it feels very similar to the energy that we often would experience during eclipse, because it feels like it's an amplification. Like the Gemini and Sagittarius energy is just like building each other up to a certain extent. So that ability of not being triggered right now is really important, right? Recognize and identify. And it's okay, because listen, if you're feeling triggered, again, remember, you're never not going to feel triggered. Triggers don't go away. It's how we navigate them. So the observation or the space of place of being triggered, helping and healing via articulating about the trigger instead of reacting to it, is very important right now. And I see even now, this is exactly why so much of the energy right now in separation is feeling triggered, because if they're trying to heal this pathwork of trust, they're moving in the directionality of the thing that hurt them, right? And so even here we see that ability of doing so, it always feels like you're stepping off into like the directionality that you're like, this is I'm literally walking in the same direction of the thing that hurt. But this is that reminder that when we do so, we remember that trust is never the failure point. That it is never wrong to trust. We just have to be discerning upon who we do trust with. So we see even now, like a lot of that energy is building into that context, and they're doing it by trusting one another's judgment via the consistency. Now continuing to get clarification between our Empress card in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Wands in its swords in its upright. We've got double nines here today. So again, this is talking a lot about that. Like if you're feeling anxiety today, I really want you to focus on moving it into excitement. I want you to find something to do with it. Something productive. Go get it, like go get a jigsaw puzzle. Go get something that, like, you know, kind of builds into that space, because it's busybody energy that we're experiencing right now, right? It's busybody. It's very, very activating, and it can create that feeling of restlessness. Don't waste it. Put it into something that's useful. Because this is also like, I can also either like, this is a type of energy that when it's in a positive space, like all kinds of new things opening up. Like this is like you know, this is like busy bee energy. But when it's not in a good place, it can be stinging energy. You know what I mean? Like, pick which side of the bee you want to be today, okay? That's a lot of the message that we're getting. So a lot of that here. And if you're feeling a little bit about that, it's because we're coming out of this Gemini full moon. So you might be finding yourself switching back and forth between either end of the bee today. So make sure that you're navigating it with a space of intentionality, and give others the compassion. Imagine they're feeling it too. Okay? Let that kind of help you. You know, give everyone a little bit of breathing room, but at the same time also hold your own energetic standards, right? Like, you know, it's like continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Wands in its upright in combination with our Magician card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through, right? You see, this is good, right? Because this is the type of this is like when I told you, this is nitpicking, right? When you're nitpicking, I need to point this out. What is the beauty of energy that feels nitpicky, right? When it's not in its positive space, if you want to be nitpicky today, if you want to like move yourself further away from something because you're wanting something to be exactly the way you want it to be and you're not being adaptable, you're probably going to have a rougher time with it. But you know what nitpicking is good at? Nitpicking is good at untangling knots. Nitpicking is good at untangling knots. So again, if you're feeling this type of energy right now, I want you to apply it to something that feels like you're utilizing it to untangle a knot, not to pick at something and create a snarl, right? Because when you pick at some things you shouldn't pick at, you create a snarl. But when you pick at things that are the right things to pick at, you can unknot something. You can get a knot out. You can overcome an energetic obstacle. So be very conscientious with that today in relationality to how you apply that type of energy. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Magician card in combination, and that's happening across all the frequencies. Clarification between our Magician card in combination with our Knight of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, and this is more of that like picking. You see that knight, like little needle, like a little like one card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with, again, pick where you put the needle. Like, right? You can use, look, you can use a needle. You can use a needle to mend, right? You can use a needle to heal. You can use a needle to do amazing work. You can also use a needle to pick at something and to poke at something and to drive something, like, you know what I mean? So just think, like, let this be an opportunity, like take advantage of the energy like this by utilizing it to help facilitate anything that is frustrating in a way that'll create a sense of easement. It's a better, I'm just telling you for the sake of like your own self right now, like that ability of doing so. And if others are coming to you, right? And if others are coming to you with a little bit of that pokiness today, just give them compassion and be like, maybe they, give them something to like see if you can kind of help them understand and be patient, but don't match them energetically, right? Because really all I keep seeing here is that there's those that realize and recognize that a little bit of this is just the energy that we're experiencing right now. And for those that aren't, it might feel a little bit, like I said, like someone being like a little bit like it's discomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It can feel a little bit like scratchy sweater kind of energy, right? You want to pick at something, but instead allow that to be something that you're able to, there are things you can pick at that are productive, right? And so let that kind of be the energetic signature that you move towards today. Now, this is the one thing I want to say. And again, this is still, I keep seeing this, beautiful possibilities that are potentially emerging right now for new energetic connections at this time. But they're challenging. Why are these energetic connections challenging? Because it's requiring you to move in the directionality outside of your comfort zone. For masculine and feminine, it's requiring different qualities and characteristics. Do you see this? Now, for masculine, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is based upon and built upon working through, I want to say even now, this is masculine energy that if they're seeing the feminine that they're healing or building with, that is conscientious and trepidatious, this is the masculine that navigates that with compassion and does not take that personally, right? This is the masculine that remembers and says to the self, if the feminine is holding trepidation to me, it's not directed at me. It's because the feminine has experienced something that requires them to build into that frame of conscientiousness or caution. So we see even now that there's a lot of that masculine that feels the frustration because their own connection to feminine is such that they feel like they have to carry the weight of those that have caused those harms or caused those hurts, right? But this is the masculine that says to the feminine, I am protective of you because I am patient with you, because I'm not patient. I am not patient for you. I recognize that we are energetically patient together. And this is a lot of that same energy that we were seeing a few days ago as it relates to how the masculine is coming towards the feminine. The masculine like defining the difference between the energy of the masculine that says clear the way, and shouts really loudly, but really they're just calling attention to themselves, versus the energy of the masculine that says you first, right? Like, by all means, you move ahead of me, right? Because that is the energy of the masculine that is being patient and considerate and attentive to feminine, coming towards feminine very much like that rapt pupil, right? While for feminine energy right now, seeing the masculine coming towards them in this way, truly listening, building upon that connectivity point, that is allowing, like there's some deep friendships that I see that are potentially evolving at this time. And a lot of that energy is being facilitated and built upon a lot of this, I want to say, this introspection and this active listening. So we see even now that in that modality of feminine, feeling the weight of a masculine that is coming towards them and listening and being conscientious instead of prescriptive. This is a lot of the feminine that's healing from any of those experiences where, and again, someone was moving to the feminine, like articulating that level or degree of care, but never necessarily asking feminine what care would appear to be for them, right? Now continuing to get clarification here between our Knight of Swords in its upright in combination with our Judgment card in its upright. This is that frustration energy here. These two, you know, everybody, like if you're not navigating this energy right now, it can make you picky and judgmental, but also changing your mind a lot, right? That's the thing that's difficult about that. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now, and we've got the abandonment wounds to boot, right? This is the combo. Look at this. Do you see this? I want to show you this. These three cards here are the note for today. Like I want you to focus on these three cards, and if you want to see this full spread, remember it will be posted as a photo on my Substack when I post the podcast. Okay, look, I'm going to show you exactly what we've got here. Knight of Swords is a Sagittarius energy, right? That's the Rev, that desire to like just be fast. Judgment is the Gemini energy, bouncing back and forth between decisions, making a lot of like fun, like being like decision, or potentially moving back and forth and changing one's mind a lot. But then we've got the Mars retrograde here. So the hypersensitivity, the ability to feel easily wounded, right? The Mars in retrograde, everybody feels like they're everybody's hypersensitive right now. So just remember, if you're feeling it today, so is everyone else around you. You can be mindful of that, because don't take it personally if someone's being hard on you. Ask yourself, maybe they're having a hard day, because a lot of this energy, it's creating a lot of that hypersensitivity, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Swords in combination with our Hanged Man in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now. Look, Lady of the Hour. This is actually the card that we studied in last night's tarot class. And if you missed that class, you've got ample opportunity to still catch up. It is going to be available as a class recording for anyone who is a subscriber to my Substack over at Tarot Church, graystrega.substack.com. We've got here our Strength card. So what do we see? Don't be triggered today. Be intentional. And the thing about it is all energy has a focus. Everything has a valuable lesson that is brought forth here. And so even now, and I know this Mars retrograde is very difficult to navigate, but remember, courage is not what we do when we feel confident. Courage is what we do when we feel uncertain, right? So we see even now that for a lot of the energy right now, working into that space of courage, I want to tell you, for the energy in separation right now, I can see the energy saying, I can't believe I'm doing this again. I can't believe I'm going to trust again. I can't believe that I'm going to do this. What if it happens again? And to which I'm going to say, are you the same person you were when the last time you were hurt? Have you not changed? If you haven't changed, then yeah, you're probably, then there might be a repetition. But if you can say, I have changed considerably, then remember, you are never the same person entering the same experience. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy is not allowing the past to dictate their own strength as it relates to finding the courage to trust again, right? Because this is the feminine saying, if I allow another person having violated my trust to take trust from me, they have cut me twice. They have cut me once in the violation of trust, and then they have robbed me of the ability of ever trusting again, right? So this is the feminine saying that ability of trusting again, this is the feminine saying this is where I find my strength, because that ability of doing so says it takes all of my courage. But I also look to that past where where trust was damaged, and I say to it, you were the exception to the rule. You were not the rule, right? And that's not the feminine forgetting the past or holding on to it too tightly. That is the feminine looking upon it and moving forward. While for masculine energy, this is the same work that we see for a lot of the masculine in separation right now. For a lot of the masculine energy in separation, this is the masculine that says, I am trying to become balanced within the emotions. And this is the masculine that says, I'm not trying to divorce myself from the emotions. When I divorce myself from the emotions, I show a side, I'm not living to my truest self. So this is the masculine saying, I'm trying to find vulnerability as I build connections. I'm trying to find that healthy space within my ego that says I do not need to remove and divorce myself from my ego entirely, but I need to balance what feels like it is the immediate demands of the self with the higher self, right? And it's that space that we see, the introspection point of the masculine that comes towards feminine. And it takes a lot of the masculine strength. But this isn't the masculine that is being strong, isn't putting on a fake sense of self to introduce themselves to the feminine. This is the masculine that's taking all of their strength to be their authentic self. While for a lot of this energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that is finding a new sense of self in the process of building into partnership. But this doesn't feel like they're moving further away from themselves. It feels like an act of discovery because they're finding themselves in partnership. They're discovering themselves within it. And whatever's arising within, it is almost that ability of seeing something that you could not see without, right? While for a lot of this energy right now that is deep within divine union, a lot of this work that we see right now deep within divine union is navigating the confidence of the self. And that's having a different impact on masculine and feminine, right? For feminine, a lot of that is navigating that feeling of frustration, right? Potentially even in relationality to either with the limitations of the self or the limitations outside of the self. For masculine, right, this is a lot of the masculine energy that is navigating those spaces or places wherein, like that sense of certainty, like there's a lot of this like working through and navigating the unknown. But what are these energies doing at this time? They're trusting their sense of self in the process. And they're reminding one another as they proceed forward that what you build upon is effectively, again, confidence, courage is what you do when confidence is not available. Courage and confidence are not the same thing. Courage is what you do when you don't have confidence. Continuing to get clarification between our hangman in its reversal in combination with our page of swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Oh, you're already out? We got two cards out? Okay, we're going to do two in the center today because they were already on the table. Right? This is exactly what we were just saying. Welcome. Well, this is going to be a part of the lessons right now all through this this is the lesson of the Mars retrograde, folks. Confidence and courage are different. Confidence is what you do when you have certainty. Courage is what you do when you don't have confidence, right? So a lot of this work, that's why it feels a little topsy-turvy right now, right? Because a lot of energy is finding their strength via intentionality with a lot of that uncertainty, right? It's like a lot of that be strong and carry on kind of energy, right? But that's what we talk about or articulate when we're speaking towards finding our courage, right? And a lot of this work is happening right now across all of the frequencies. And that's just like the hallmark that is connecting. You see this, like all of these energies, regardless of where you find yourself on the frequency, because none of these energies are better or worse. It's just where you find yourself, right? Continuing to get clarification right now between our page of swords in its reversal in combination with that 5 of pentacles in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? clarification coming through. We got 3 nines today. 3 nines on the table. We've got 2 eights. It's all of this Gemini energy that we're still navigating through. So we've got a lot of that. There's a lot of that anticipation. A lot of that it's like a lot of that anticipatory energy. Even the fact that there isn't the other 9 here is even more, like the 3 nines is even more frustrating because you don't have the 4th 9 out. So even that is like the anticipation, if you will, right? So there's a lot of this work right now that is occurring across all of the frequencies in navigating anticipation. And again, I want you to make sure, I'm going to keep saying this as we move further and further away from this Gemini full moon. I want you grounding right now. I don't want you, I mean, again, if you want to move forward right now into new projects, new activities, this is good. This is really great for creativity right now. Like this is like kickstart energy. But again, what happens if you have kickstart energy without directionality? You end up doing donuts, right? You end up spinning your wheels. So make sure that you're not like spinning, like make sure that you're not like spinning out or like doing donuts with this energy. Make sure that you're being intentional with it, right? Continuing to get clarification right now, the card flying out of the deck and speaking towards that right now, the combination between clarification between our strength card in its upright, our 3 of pentacles in its reversal, and our 2 of swords. This is what I mean about navigating uncomfortability. You see how we have these 3 cards here? Like when you're navigating uncomfortability, be really conscientious about where you stick your sword. Make sure that you're utilizing it in a way that feels like it's energetically productive, even if another person is accidentally poking you with theirs, right? We've got here, and here she is, we've got here our Queen of Swords. Be mindful with your sword, right? And giving someone the benefit of the doubt, right? Like that clarification point in recognizing and identifying, because there's a lot of strength here. There's a lot of strength to be found with energy in this modality right now. There's a lot of, I want to say, building into the courage that we find within the self, right? That feeling of, like I said, focusing, planning, coordinating, beautiful energy to utilize right now. But again, if you're utilizing it in a way that you're just going to be like, it's also like, it can also be the type of energy of someone not having anything better to do with their time. So they're just like, being like, over concentrating on something that the ego is bothered by and letting that distract you today. I mean, you could do that with this energy, but you're wasting a beautiful opportunity to create something new with it. So if someone's coming towards you in that way, don't be reactive. Just recognize that maybe they're not handling the energy in they're overly internalizing it instead of just feeling it externally. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, I'm also going to say this to a certain extent, like, a lot of this is feeling very much like, and that's the thing about it, it's navigating pickiness, right? Now, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, pickiness is important, right? And that's, okay, and this is what I keep hearing about it. The way that the energy deep within divine union is navigating anything that feels energetically picky is via the conversation of saying to one another, it's not picky, it's important, right? Because if there's something there that one person is being picky upon, but another person feels important, I can see that that's the energy. This is the conversations I'm seeing right now is amplifying the pickiness that comes from something that is energetically important versus the pickiness that comes from the more of the egoic self. While for a lot of that energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that, again, what did we see was happening right now? If this is energy that is recognizing or reorienting in relationality to bringing a partnership into being, this is the energy that also recognizes, and this is the picky and important is coming from the energy saying, if this is energy that's moving deeper in divine union and someone's saying to them like, that's a shame or something like that. Someone being like, no, it's sacred, right? And that's why the energy is going through that same thing of saying it's not picky, or it's not picky, it's important, because this is the energy that's feeling that articulation of explaining to others the sacredness of what it is that they're creating together, right? While for masculine, and this is the energy that says it is, they recognize that that's sacred, not because they say it is so, it's because they feel that it has impacted them, it has changed them. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, this is the energy in separation that is pulling from a level or degree of courage that they did not know they had. I just keep seeing a lot of this energy. I can hear a lot of this energy in separation saying it took all the courage I had to trust again after that feeling of trust was violated, right? This is the energy saying it took the simplest thing that feels like it is the heaviest thing that no one else can see, because this is the energy that says, like, working through that. And this is the energy that when they're finding one another, they understand. They get it. Feminine is potentially healing from those articulations or those moments where masculine may have, both of these energies, healing from someone that may have articulated a desire to move towards a manifestation goal. Remember the last energetic cycle and the difference, the valuable lesson in the difference between being able to do so, being able to say that one desires something, but being able to move with intentionality as one would in accordance to a manifestation goal. This is the energy that the reason that they're moving slowly to one another is not out of a lack of desiring the same manifestation goal. This is the energy that says they have learned the lesson that it is easy to say that one desires a manifestation goal, but it is much more difficult to embody the qualities and characteristics that allow one to move towards it, right? Those are the coordinates of manifestation. It's not just enough to desire something. You have to move in accordance with that manifestation goal. So this is the energy that is building forward in that way and navigating with one another with trepidation, saying, I know you say that you would like to dance, but do you know how? I know you'd like to build something, but have you ever built anything before? And these are the energies that are not just articulating it, they're showing via the consistency that they also move in accordance with that manifestation goal. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Swords in combination with our Three of Pentacles in its reversal, in combination with our Nine of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. Yeah. And they're navigating with a lot of grief on the way, right? Because if this is energy that is in separation, this is energy that a lot of this work, it's navigating disappointment. It's trying not to get cynical, right? And a lot, I got to tell you, it's hard because I'm going to keep reminding you we're still in the Mercury retrograde shadow period. And unfortunately, something that sometimes comes up during these Mercury retrograde shadow periods is that feeling of the past rising back to the surface. Feeling deja vu, feeling those moments that feel very similar, that sense or space of like the retrograde that says nothing's ever going to change. But and this is the energy that says, yes, there is, something's going to change. I'm changing, right? This is the energy that says, if you're not the same person, everything is always constantly changing. And so this is the energy that does not look forward, right? This is more of that same message that we saw, right? And this is the beauty of that. Look at this, these combinations of cards here with the Nine of Cups, the Three of Pentacles in its reversal, and the Two of Swords. This is that same lesson that we've been hearing of the energy in separation, saying to one another as they find one another in separation, I did not expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. And why is the energy saying, I'm glad to have found myself here? Because this is the energy that truly feels like they have found themselves on that journey. They understand the lessons that they're working through. They understand and they're mindful of that past. And that doesn't mean that they were deserving of that past, but recognizing and understanding and absorbing those lessons is building into that conscientiousness of saying that observation of the reason we understand a lesson is the lesson that is heavy that we carry also allows us to avoid it moving forward. But it still hurts that we had to learn those energetic lessons. So we see that these are the energies that are mourning, right? They're mourning that desire or aspiration of wanting to build towards a manifestation goal with another. And they're holding each other's hands along the way, right? because this isn't the energy that just immediately looks at a new energetic counterpart and says, you're going to be just like the rest of them. This is the energy that says, I'm going to give you the grace of surprising me. I'm going to give you the grace of potentially assuming that you're everything I've ever desired. I'm going to not assume that you're going to be perfect. But that ability of being able to identify and recognize that isn't, and this is why the energy is accountable in separation, because this isn't the energy that says, yeah, it stinks. I'm perfect, and every time I do something, someone else isn't perfect. No, this is the energy that says, I do a lot of work in understanding and recognizing what I need to change within the self, but also what I've experienced. So we see even now that this is the energy that is like moving forward and articulating that back and forth to one another. And again, if this is the energy that says in some way, shape, or form, I'm trying, this is the energy that says to one another in separation, you're not trying, you actively are doing it, and you're putting a qualifier on how well you're doing it, right? While for a lot of this energy that's coming into divine union right now, this is that bittersweetness that we may be experiencing or seeing for some of that energy coming into divine union in the observation and recognition between energy that feels like it's like this is the energy that's recognizing the shifting landscape around them as they move deeper into divine union, right? And some of it is beautiful, and some of it is sad. Some of it is surprising, and some of it is unexpected. But a lot of this is the recognition of the energy around those coming into divine union, in the identification of recognizing where another's, that feeling, everything is articulated on the energy that is protective of partnership, and says to those around them, we're not moving something deeper into partnership to change something. We're doing it because we're already changed by it, right? And that's the energy. And I can hear the energy in separation saying, the energy that gets it, and they celebrate, and the energy doesn't, and they mourn, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, this is more of that energy, like, and this is the thing about it, like the work of masculine and feminine right now, masculine's very much in a more introspective space. Feminine is much more in a actionable state. Why are we effectively seeing this at this time? Because again, there's a lot of this work that we see that the masculine deep within divine union is doing in introspecting upon their own emotionality. And like working to integrate that is hard. It's heavy. Like when we allow ourselves to feel the full expanse of our emotions, it's easier to shut them off. Like it's not stoic to shut off an emotion. That's not what the Stoics did. Stoicism is allowing oneself to feel the full expanse of one's emotions, but not letting them move you away from one's own intentionality, right? It is the deciphering between the emotions of the higher self versus the emotions that come more from the egoic self. So there's a lot of this contemplation and introspection that I see that masculine energy is doing right now, deep within divine union, to recognize and articulate upon which is one and which is the other. While for feminine energy, this is more feminine energy, just getting like much more like this is feminine energy trying to take that like energy of the pickiness and utilizing it in terms of feeling more like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the feminine feeling a little bit more energetically firm today, because a little bit of this here, I see that this is feminine energy that is working through, and this is how the feminine energy is deciphering what feels like it is, like this is the feminine being very articulate as to others as to what is their own ego versus what is their higher self being energetically picky. So there's a little bit more actionability that's happening here for feminine. It's a little bit more, it's more of the feminine utilizing that in an external way, right? Masculine, it's more happening on an internal one. Final card for today's spread between our Queen of Swords, and this is what I need to stress right now, okay? And this is what we have to be very cautious about. I'm going to even say this right now. For energy that is in deep, like in coming into divine union or deep within divine union, and also in separation, this is a little bit of something to be careful about right now, because we see even now feminine is being a little bit more hard edged today, right? Masculine is much more in a place of sensitivity. We are still in the Mercury retrograde. So make sure that you're being conscientious, not in terms of how you feel, but where your counterpart is, right? Because this could be a lot of this energy having a little bit of like cross wires today, because like feminine's feeling a little bit more of this like ready to go kind of thing, and masculine is more in that space of navigating, like working through like the emotions of the self, right? Working to make sense of something. So just be conscientious today that the masculine energy may be more introspective. Feminine may be feeling more like actionable. Final card for today's spread is we've got here our Justice card in its reversal, right? So what we're effectively seeing, and I'm telling you even now, this is that wacky energy that we're talking about, right? This is like also what I'm going to say right now whenever I see the Justice card in its reversal. If someone comes towards you today with something you don't like, do not give them back more of the same. If someone's trying to provoke you, don't indulge them. Like, don't indulge them by giving them the thing that they're asking for. Be compassionate. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't assume anything today, right? Now, for energy right now in separation, this is more like, this is that same like, this is why the partnerships that are forming right now are so difficult, because the timing, right? The timing feels like it's like now it feels like wacky to even be like trying to form partner. I can see the energy being like, it feels wacky to be doing so in the midst of everything here. And a lot of this, and again, making sure that you're not projecting that outwards to a certain extent, not assuming that the past is happening again, being curious. If feminine, if you're reaching out to masculine today and they're a little bit slower or retrospective, don't just assume, don't assume you're getting the cold shoulder. Imagine potentially that the masculine's in a moment that they're really like in some deep and heavy thought here. Same, masculine, if you see feminine and they're much more like fast, don't take it personally. It has to do with how you're navigating some of this energy right now. Make sure that you're asking questions, right? Questions are how we heal. So don't get ahead of yourself today. Most importantly, don't match energy, right? Like if someone, don't do what one thinks, don't think about what you have a right to do. Think about what you ought to do, right? Because when we do the thing that we feel we have a right to do, it just takes one thing. But when we keep that sense of intentionality, it can guide us forward in ways that we can correct things that we feel are imbalanced, right? Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, this is more of that same feeling of bittersweetness, because this is the energy that is recognizing and identifying what is in their control to navigate versus what is outside of the control to navigate, right? This is an energy that was feeling turbulence and then is trying to run off and find the source of it, or try to appease someone, or try to explain to someone like the valuation of a partnership. They're not extending all of their effort into something outside of partnership. They're navigating it with a sense of observation, right? It's bittersweet. And when you observe something that doesn't feel like it's energetically right, sometimes, that's why the energy is being corrective, but only to a point. Because that's the difference between the energy feeling like they're moving deeper in divine union and the energy effectively saying like, I'm truly happy for you, versus someone saying like, I recognize that that's sacred, versus someone saying that's a shame, right? So we see even now that a little bit of that space is respective of compassion, but compassion within boundaries. While for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, This is the energy potentially working on having compassion for the self, right? A lot of this hypersensitivity is creating that sense of the self wherein we get very hard on ourselves. So we can see even now, this is the feminine that's saying, oh, I'm not perfect. I just need to get a little bit better. And masculine saying to feminine, imagine you're perfect just the way you are. And for feminine, masculine looking at feminine and saying, I'm not, you know, I'm not in full control of my emotionality. You know, there's moments or times when I feel like I have a hard time navigating the emotions. This is the feminine that says to the masculine, the fact that you're articulating upon it instead of reacting to it shows the fact that that in itself is not true, because you're trying to put a qualifier. You're trying to say try on something that you're actively doing. Final card for today's spread for today is King of Cups in its reversal. So I just want to point out right now, there's the and masculine and feminine are both very like this energy is really doing a lot of work in our emotional space. It's hard emotionally, especially with the Gemini energy. It could be feeling like you're feeling a lot, or you're moving back and forth between feelings very rapidly. And I see for the feminine energy, it's a little bit easier to navigate today, right? There's something about the feminine being able to navigate some of that emotionality, you know, and just kind of move through it. That's a little bit easier. For masculine, you know, if you're feeling a lot of emotions rising up right now, I want you to allow yourself to say to oneself, I'm strong enough to feel them, right? Like just allow yourself some moments to just kind of sit with them. Because everything that I'm seeing here, there's a lot, I just see there's a lot of energy right now that is moving out of disassociation, right? There's just a lot of this energy that is not allowing themselves to disassociate. They're working instead on feeling the expanse of one's emotions. And sometimes that can feel like a lot. Remember that, you know, when we often are trying to find, like sometimes the solution when we're feeling a lot is not to be reactive of those emotions. It's just, and this is why we talk about the value right now of meditation or sitting in stillness or finding a place of concentrating that feeling, because allowing ourselves to just feel the expanse of something but not be reactive to it is how we integrate with it, right? So don't feel that sense of trying to push it away to a certain extent. Just allow yourself to kind of sit within it and say to yourself, I am strong enough to hold this. I'm strong enough to feel these things. And for masculine, be very conscientious not to be reactive if you're feeling a lot of emotionality today. Feel the emotions, identify what feels like it's coming from the higher self, and then put those into words. While for feminine, working and navigating with masculine and recognizing that they may be in a more emotional space right now, when you're feeling a lot more, like I see feminine much more in the space of the practical today, you know, make sure that you're being conscientious of that, right? Like now is a good time, especially if you're working counterpart connections, not to assume and say, what do you need right now? How are you feeling? Make sure that you're, you know, Gemini energy says, make sure that you're asking questions. Be curious. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember, I will never reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website, so I encourage you to do it there. Also, I want to thank everyone who attended our class last night on the strength card. If you missed our class on the strength card, the video will be up right now for my paid subscribers over on Substack. If you would like to receive that class or become a part of our class program, all you need to do is become a subscriber over on my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to the full library of previous classes. That's over 9 hours worth of material that comes with that subscription. Our next class is on Wednesday, January 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be exploring and moving into the Hermit card. I cannot wait to teach this card to you guys. It is a very fascinating card. And if you'd like to become a part of that program, you will have access to that class. And now is a great time to join because you've got about 9 hours worth of material to catch up on. It's not necessary to catch up. I'll be giving a recap in each and every class, but it is there for you when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's absolutely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're just joining us there for the first time, and I look forward to seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become and if you are a subscriber here on TikTok, be sure to head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel, because there you will find a special coupon code that will give you an additional discount to that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to our giveaway information. And speaking of giveaways, congratulations to the winner of our November giveaway. I have you listed in our newsletter. Go ahead and take a look at the Substack if you'd like to find out if you won, and congratulations if you did. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These classes can be focused on whatever area of personal development or spiritual growth you are most invested in learning about. They are for my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me, and I take a very limited number of students for this reason. These classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we're going to do this again tomorrow.